everybody and welcome back to my channel, or hi, hello if you are new here, and thank you for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be one that has been very much requested by you guys after I did my American road trip and Las Vegas trip with my husband Ollie. We had such an amazing time away for 20 days, so it was a lot of planning, and a few people have messaged saying that they are trying to plan something similar, whether that's in America or another country or in the UK. They're trying to plan a trip that is kind of a little bit out of the ordinary. I mean, I suppose a lot of holidays that people go on, generally you might go to the travel agent and you would get your flight booked, your hotel booked, and maybe your transfer, and you'd be in a resort somewhere. But when I go on holiday, that is not what I like to do. I love to explore. With this trip that me and Ollie did, we tried to do a little bit of both, because he quite likes a nice hotel and a pool and good food, and I quite like rustic, travelling around the place, finding culture and things like that. So our trip was actually a combination of the both. So I'm hoping this video will be interesting, and I'm just going to basically go through the process of how I plan a trip like this, and also just talk about tips, travel tips. I'm hoping the video is going to make sense. I don't normally do videos like this, so it could be a little bit all over the place, but I really hope to get as much information in it as possible. But if I start talking about something and go off on a tangent and don't finish something, just leave me a comment down below and I'll answer all of your comments about anything to do with travel. So our trip definitely was months in the planning, but that's mainly because it doesn't take months. It's because I absolutely love planning things. So for me, it's like a whole evening. I'm like, right, tonight I'm going to plan this one area that we're going to, and I'm going to look at hotels for that area, Airbnbs for that area, and I'll spend hours just looking into it all. And that is not because I don't find that stressful. I don't feel like I'm wasting time. It, to me, feels like I'm already on the trip. And then when you get to the actual place that you've spent so long looking at online, when you get to it in person, I feel like it makes it all the more special, because you spot things. You're like, oh my God, I found that online. Or, oh yeah, it feels exactly what I was going to think it was going to be like. And yeah, it just, for me, makes it all the more exciting. So I'm definitely a big area researcher, but I get it. A lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people just want to plan something, get there and relax. This is not that type of trip. So this is going to be for you guys who want a little bit of adventure, but maybe still want some relaxation. You want a holiday that does everything, or like me and Ollie, you have two different people in a relationship that one wants to do one thing, one wants to do the other, and this is how you can make it work. Anyway, let's get into it. Like I said, it could be a little bit random and all over the place. So I'm basically going to start by explaining the process that I did from start to finish, and then I'll just add in little things that pop into my head in between. So to start with, we knew that we wanted to go to Las Vegas because that's where Ollie wanted to go, and I wanted to go there as well, but he loves Las Vegas, so that was definitely somewhere we had to visit. We also had to bear in mind that we had a little bit of a date to take into consideration, because it was our first year anniversary, and Ollie really wanted us to have our 1 year anniversary in Vegas. So that's why we did Vegas for the first half of our trip, because the kind of wedding anniversary fell into that. So the first thing we had to do was kind of figure out how many days we're going to need in Vegas in order to incorporate the anniversary date. So that was a little bit complicated for us, and the other thing that made it a little bit more complicated for us is that we bought our flights with reward points with British Airways. So we've just built up points over the last couple of years, and it means that we did get a free flight. We had to pay the taxes, but the flight was free. So because of this, reward flights, you can't just go on there and book any flight. You can't just choose the dates that you want and go on it. You have to do this different kind of process where you have to choose a reward flight. So not many of them come up. Basically, that's why we're away for so long. It's because the one that came up was flying on the 25th of August, and then it was flying back on the 12th of September. So it gave us 19 nights, I think. So it meant that we had to plan everything within those dates, which was kind of good because it gave us just something to work with. And that was the first thing we did. Got our reward flights, booked the flights, because we've been waiting so long for reward flights to come up that actually had our wedding anniversary within it. Our wedding anniversary was the 31st of August. So that was a little bit of a waiting game, checking all the time. Ollie has this app that tells you when flights come up and stuff. He did all of that. So yeah, book the flights first. If you are planning a trip where the insides of the trip are going to be all muddled and all doing different things, get your flights booked so you know the dates you're going to be away. Then you can put them in your diary, and then you just know that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long you're away for, is what you've got to plan. So don't start looking at anything else until you've booked your flights. And we booked our flights January, so 8 months in advance. As soon as you know you want to go somewhere, as soon as you know the kind of month you want to go, get those flights booked, so then you can actually start your plans, which is the exciting bit. So then, because I had the dates in place, I knew we had to have Vegas for the first half, and then it was going to be the road trip. So for Vegas, Ollie really had all of the control over that, so he could decide what hotels we stayed in, what restaurants we ate in, because basically we wanted to give each other the chance to be able to do exactly what we wanted to do on the same holiday. So it meant he had full control over Vegas and I had full control over the road trip. Although we definitely still took into consideration different things that each of us wanted to do on each trip, obviously. We're not just like going to be brats about it. But that's kind of how we came up with it. So he wants that, I want that, and we're going to make them come together. He chose 2 hotels in Las Vegas, and because we were going to be in Las Vegas for 9 nights, which is a very long time in Las Vegas, although it's fine, there's so much to do there, and because the hotels have such beautiful pools and things, you don't have to do something every day. That's Dylan just choking here. You got a hairball? You don't have to do anything every day because you've got these beautiful pools and you can just literally have a pool day, you could have a spa day. So even though when we told people that we were going to Las Vegas for 9 days, they were like, 9 days? What on earth are you going to do for 9 days? But there's loads to do and there's loads not to do. You can chill there as well. So yeah, we chose 2 hotels, and basically we chose one because that was where we stayed after we got married last year, so that was special to us, although they ended up changing the hotel last minute. We did book the Venetian, and then kind of about a month or so before we were supposed to travel, they then said, would you mind swapping to the Palazzo, because the Venetian was having work done on it, and we could have still had our stay in the Venetian, but it meant that the lounge that we had access to was going to be in the Palazzo, so every time we wanted to go for drinks in this kind of lounge, prestige lounge it's called, that we had access to, it would be a good sort of, well, because it's so far in Vegas to get anywhere, it'd be a good sort of 20-minute walk to get to it, which is not really ideal because we do use that lounge quite a lot. We were moved to the Palazzo hotel, which was fine because it's kind of a similar vibe to the Venetian, although I will definitely say I do prefer the Venetian over the Palazzo. So if you're looking at one of those or the other, I would choose the Venetian. Also, it's being completely renovated at the moment, so if you're going to go next year or something, it'll be really cool. So anyway, we knew we were going to book that, and we knew we wanted that for our anniversary because that's where we stayed as soon as we got married, so we wanted that for our anniversary as well. So we booked that and we paid more for that because those 4 nights we stayed there, that was our treat, that was in the whole thing, that was where we were going to stay in the nicest room and have like the prestige lounge included, and just, you know, a real holiday within a holiday, the plan of that one was. And it really felt like that. So yeah, that was quite an expensive hotel, and I book all of my hotels through Expedia. I love using Expedia for 2 reasons. First reason is most of the hotels on there I can get student discount on, so I can get 10% off with my uni days student discount. So if you are a student and you don't have any of the website, you know, you don't have any of your student cards set up, I would definitely recommend doing that because yeah, Expedia, you normally get 10% off hotels, and when you're looking at spending, I think the Venetian was £500 a night, something very expensive. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I saved like 250 quid or something on that hotel, which was great. So yeah, Expedia is really good like that, and also you earn Expedia points. So every hotel that you book, and then after you've stayed at it, you get the points, and they build up quite nicely in your account, and then they just turn into money that you can spend on Expedia. So it means then for our next trip that we go on, we're going to get more money off that, and you can use your student discount and the points together. So for me, points and student discount is really important when planning a big trip like this, because obviously a trip like this is not cheap. And we, you know, we didn't want it to be cheap. This is a very special trip for us. This is like a once in a lifetime trip. So we want to make sure that we are going to do everything we want to do. but within reason. So we had the Venetian as our little holiday within a holiday, very luxury, including everything. You know, it had food with it, it had drinks, cocktail, it was all kind of included, so it felt really special. And then for the first half of the Las Vegas part, we stayed in a new hotel called the Fontainebleau, and this hotel we managed to get at a, well, it was 40% discount on Expedia, because also if you have an Expedia account, like a member's account, you get extra discounts and stuff like that on there. So I just love using Expedia. I've never had a problem with it either. It's really good. And then with the Fontainebleau, we also managed to get another 10% off as well because of the student discount. So we actually got 50% off of that hotel. And the reason that was doing such a good deal is because it was a brand new hotel, where they've been building it for like 20 years in Vegas, but they'd finally finished it the summer that we went there. So that was really cool. So we managed to stay in a brand new hotel, very good price, and it was also a very luxury hotel. But just go on Expedia, put in your dates, check all the different room options. Sometimes I find with Expedia, don't just take the price that you see, like click on the actual listing and look through the different room options, because sometimes you can find a better room which is heavily discounted and it kind of ends up being just a little bit more than the other price of the normal room. So I definitely say check for upgrades and stuff like that. If you're brave enough in Las Vegas as well, you can also ask for upgrades. I think you can do like a little trick. I didn't do it because I'm too scared. But you can like slip them $20 and they might upgrade your room. I've seen a lot of success with that on forums and stuff. So if you're brave, try it. I wasn't brave enough. But anyway, in the Venetian we booked a nice room anyway. And in the Fontainebleau, the hotel was stunning. Like just absolutely loved it. It was so new, it was so fresh, it was so modern. It had all these like mod cons in the room, the views was amazing. So honestly, we just had a standard, we had a good view room, blue room or something like that. Also decide, when you're booking hotels, decide what's important to you, because for me, views are really, really important. So if I have a hotel room and I have the option of paying another, I don't know, whatever, £100 for a good view, that I will definitely pay that because it's important to me. But if that's not important to you, save the money on that and use it on something else that's important. Don't be kind of drawn in to paying extra for certain things in rooms. So anyway, yeah, Fontainebleau, got a good deal on that because it was new. So definitely go on Expedia, check out the deals, see what discounts you can get. Also, don't just go on there and book straight away. Just go on over the course of a month and just see if things change, and then you know whether or not things do change or not. And then, yeah, get it booked. So we booked the Las Vegas bit quite easily, and obviously everything in Las Vegas is in Las Vegas, so that didn't take much planning. We also both said we weren't going to plan an itinerary for stuff. We were going to get there and take each day as it comes, which was how Ollie wanted the holiday to be. I would have not been like that, but yeah, that's how we wanted it to be, so that's how it was. So we'd wake up in the morning, whatever time, walk around the hotels, walk down the strip, choose restaurants, and then every so often we would research things we want to do and then maybe book it for the next day or something. But in Vegas, you do not need to be planning everything in advance. Obviously you need your flights and your hotel booked, but you don't need to be like planning shows too much. Honestly, you could just do it when you get there, and you'll probably get better deals when you get there, and you'll get a vibe of the hotels that you want to go to, because all of the hotels have their own theatres, pools, bars, restaurants. They're just massive resorts, each hotel. So you might even just want to get there and walk around all of the hotels, and then you'll go, oh, I really want to see that show in that hotel because it has my vibe. You know what I mean? So you don't need to be overly planning Las Vegas unless there's particular, people that are going there, like Adele's going there or something. And you need to obviously buy a ticket for that before you go because it'll be very popular. But all of their standard shows and things, no, you'll be able to do it when you're out there. And then you can really just relax, go with the flow, but also have like a fairly busy, fun, vibrant holiday without having to plan too many things and pay for things at home. You know, you can then kind of budget it into your holiday fund. So I think that kind of makes sense for Vegas. Vegas is the easy bit. I feel like the Las Vegas section applies to a lot of other places as well. So say you were planning a trip to London for a week, and then you're going to go on a road trip up to Scotland or something like that. I feel like that kind of applies the same. So you've got a lot in the city, a lot to offer you, and it's kind of easy to plan things and keep busy, but it's also easy to relax if you choose the right sort of hotel and thing. Then the road trip's obviously the bit that I feel like you guys really want to know how to plan, because that's the bit that's more difficult. So basically I knew 4 places in America that I really wanted to visit, which were Zion Park. After my family went there after our wedding last year, they said it was amazing. So Zion Park was a must. Also, Yellowstone was somewhere that I really wanted to visit. And then Aspen, and then back to the Grand Canyon where we got married last year. We wanted to go back and see it again. So those 4 places were where I really wanted to visit. So the first thing I did was write down the 4 places that I want to visit and then pop them into Google Maps. So Google Maps was like my best friend. So I've got it here, so I'm going to screen share so that you guys can see what I mean. Okay, so the first thing that I would do on Google Maps is put in Las Vegas, because that's where we're starting from. So pop that in. And then the next place we wanted to visit was Zion Park, because that is where my family went last year and they said it was absolutely amazing and that I had to visit it. And I knew that it was only about 2.5 hours from Las Vegas, so I thought that would be a great stop for our first day, because first day on the road, you've got a new car, you're a little bit worried about how the road's going to be. Obviously driving out of Las Vegas is a bit scary, but wherever you are, the first time you get your car, you're going to have a little bit of anxiety, so you kind of do need to give yourself a bit of an easy day. So a 2.5 hour drive to Zion Park was perfect for us. So then I just go on Google Maps, got Las Vegas, and then I would go on directions, and then just press the little arrows and swap it around. So Las Vegas is the starting point, and then the next destination is going to be Zion National Park. So then we knew that's where we were going to go next. So we could see that that was a 2 hour 14-minute drive. Also bear in mind, whatever time you're on Google Maps, in America especially, some roads close at night and things like that. We noticed in Yellowstone that was a thing. So also make sure that when you're looking at Google Maps, it is telling you the time right now. So when you search how long will it take me to drive here to here, Google Maps is telling you right now in that time zone how long it would take you to drive there. So you could be looking at peak hours, you could be looking when a road's shut. So just make sure that you do try and put in the actual time in that country that you will be travelling to that area, so you can get a real idea of how long the journey is going to be. So then after we knew we wanted to go to Zion, then we were like, right, okay, after this, now we want to get up north, up to Yellowstone, because we needed to get up there because it's quite a long way. So I knew it was going to be a long way, but I just popped it in the map anyway, just to see how far that would be. And obviously that was going to be a very long way. So then I could see that the drive went from 2 hours to 10.5 hours. So we also decided before we went on the trip, between both of us, how many hours a day would we actually want to be driving, and we kind of both said a maximum 5 hours a day. Although, to be honest, on our trip we did a little bit more than that, and actually there's a few things that I would change, which I'll go over at the end, but I just want to explain how we did it. So yeah, Yellowstone is up there. So that was the most northern place that we were going to, so from Las Vegas to Yellowstone. And then I knew that I wanted to go to Aspen, so then add in that destination, Aspen, and we see how far that is. So then that's going right down there. As you can see, we've literally gone up on a peak and then back down. So that was going to take it up to 20 hours and 27 minutes. So that's basically another 10 hours. So Yellowstone to Aspen is another 10 hours. So obviously not doable in a day. And then the next place was going to be the Grand Canyon. So, but the Grand Canyon, Shoshone Point basically, because that's where we got married. Shoshone Point, Grand Canyon. So pop that in. And then that is another, God, did that say give me anything else? 29 hours. So there's another 9 hours, 8.5 hours there. So again, too long to go. And then the next point from the bottom you can see there would be the Grand Canyon and back to Las Vegas. So you can see it's kind of it's not a circle, but it's like a loop. It's like we're going round. So I wanted to make sure as well that we weren't going like this. We were doing this. So those were the areas that I really wanted to visit. So now I had this kind of idea on the maps, I really needed to like look into it a little bit closer. So I needed to figure out which bits we were happy to do in one day and which we weren't. So from Las Vegas to Zion was absolutely fine in one day. So then the next thing would be Zion to Yellowstone, which basically was too far in one day. So then I would go on ChatGPT, which is really handy for just giving you quick information. You can download the app, it's AI. You might already have it, or you might have something similar. But basically, or you can just put it in Google, but I would go on ChatGPT because I just found like it was quite helpful. And I would just put, where's a good spot to stop between Zion National Park and Yellowstone National Park? And then it came up with a few options, but it came up specifically with Salt Lake City. So I was like, okay, cool. We're going to go for Salt Lake City because that was pretty much halfway. So you can add that destination in the bottom here. Obviously it's going to be in the wrong place, but we can move it. Salt Lake City there. And then just pick up Salt Lake City and move it up. So it's between Zion and Yellowstone, and now Salt Lake's there. So now we can see we've got a point on the map where it says Salt Lake City, which is cool. So then I knew, so first day we're leaving Las Vegas and we're going to Zion. So we've got Zion, then we had Salt Lake City for one night, and then we're going to be Yellowstone for one night. So we already got 3 areas planned. It didn't take that long to figure it out. And then I just did the same again. So when we were looking then between Yellowstone and Aspen, this bit actually took me a little bit longer because I just couldn't decide what to do. And I was trying to plan it so we had 2 days in Aspen, and I'm glad we didn't now because Aspen was extremely expensive, so it would have just been too much. But I realised that on that second day, driving Zion to Salt Lake to Yellowstone, that was still quite a lot of driving within 2 days. So once we'd got to Yellowstone, I wanted it to be a little bit more relaxed, so we wanted a night in Yellowstone, but then the next night to only be a couple of hours drive again, so to give us a little bit of a chilled day that next day. So then I wanted to find somewhere nice within, well, just outside of Yellowstone National Park and still within Wyoming, because I was just really interested in Wyoming as a state, so I wanted to stay there a little bit more. So then on ChatGPT, I'll just put in, where's a good place to stop that's 2 hours down south of Yellowstone, and it came up with Du Bois, which I'm so happy we found this place because this was one of my favourite places we visited. So then we had Du Bois, Wyoming, and so obviously we need to move that again after Yellowstone. And there was a few other places that I did look at. Oh, what have we got here? Something on there, there we go. There was a few other places in Wyoming that I did look at, but it was quite nice to go to Du Bois because it was kind of heading into the centre of Wyoming, and it wasn't too far to go, and it kind of went down from Yellowstone and it worked in really nicely. Although on the date that we did travel there, the road was going to be closed, and it was closed right up until about an hour before we left to drive it, because they had huge wildfires all around that area, which was quite scary. We actually had to be escorted through the wildfires, which was really sad to see all the fires, but also it was an incredible experience to be escorted through when the skies are just grey with smoke. Yeah, it was just something else. Anyway, so we stopped off in that little town. As you can see, Yellowstone to Du Bois is not that far, so it meant a nice chilled day, and it meant that we actually arrived in Du Bois early enough that we could actually check in at a decent time and get dinner, because I would say when you're looking at a road trip, 5 hours a day doesn't sound that long, but because you stop at gas stations, you see views. I mean, you say 5 hours, you're normally looking at about 6 to 7 hours really, because the whole idea is that you see things on the way and you stop, so you don't want to be just like rushing and going the most direct route. That's the other thing. This map obviously shows you the most direct route. Actually, this is not the route that we took, so I might have to change it a little bit, because then each day we'd pop it into our maps for the car to follow, and we would then be like, okay, this one's taking us through this city, we don't want to go through the city, we want to go through the mountains, so we choose the longer route, the more scenic route. So another thing you can put into ChatGPT is, what is the most scenic route between A and B, if you get what I mean. So I put in, from Salt Lake City to Yellowstone, what is the most scenic route? And then it would say, oh, this route through the mountains. So that's the route that we took. And I just loved doing that. And yeah, it was just amazing to just be, even though it took us an hour and a half longer, the scenery along that drive was just absolutely incredible. So it's so worth asking the internet for the most scenic route from A to B. Not just the fastest route. Just remember, road trip, you're on a road trip, so you're not just looking for the fastest route. You're not just trying to get somewhere for like a wedding or something. The whole idea is that you are seeing things along the way and you're really aware of everything. In my head on the road trip, I thought I'd be napping loads, and just snoozing in the car while Ollie drove. But no, I had 1/2 an hour nap. He'll tell you different, but I did. It was 1/2 an hour nap, and the other time I was just resting my eyes. But it was because the scenery was so absolutely beautiful and amazing that you try and just go, I'll just have 10 minutes, and then you're like, oh no, I can't, look at that, look at that, look at that. So yeah, just bear that in mind as well. Neither of you are really going to be sleeping that much because it's just exciting. So where were we? We were in Du Bois. So then Du Bois, and then I knew that from Du Bois we needed to get to Aspen, and this is where my part of the trip, this took me ages to decide what we were going to do because I kept thinking I wanted 2 nights in Aspen. But anyway, we decided that we were going to split the journey again because it was still quite a long drive from Du Bois to Aspen, and also we didn't want to arrive in places too late at night where you can't actually experience the area, because our trip was very much arrive in the evening, go for a meal out or grab something to eat on the way or something like that and eat it in our Airbnb, and then go to sleep, wake up in the morning, try and have a fairly relaxed-ish morning, but then get back on the road again to the next place. So it was bam, 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 like that. I mean, you could definitely plan it where you have 2 nights in each of these places, so you could experience the areas a little bit more. But because we only had, I think we had 8 nights on the road trip, so, and we needed to get all the way up to Yellowstone, to all these places which were quite far away from each other, so we couldn't hang around too much. So then I was trying to figure out where we could stop between Du Bois and Aspen, and then I think I actually came up with it myself to go to Cheyenne, even though it's slightly over a little bit. I'll just pop it into here so you can see where it is. But I think that this was actually somewhere that I found myself just because I was interested in visiting there anyway. So that would be after Du Bois there. So that should bring it round, yeah. So then that meant it was a good stop off. It meant we had to drive a little bit further out to get there, but it was also a cool place to visit. And also another reason I wanted to go there was because the Airbnb that I found was quite nice. Now I'll talk about Airbnbs and stuff in a minute. But then as you can see, then the drive from here, so Cheyenne to Aspen's shorter, but actually that route they're showing us there goes through Denver, and we both decided like we don't want to go through the city. So even though this was on my initial plan, this drive, on each day, so in the morning that we woke up in Cheyenne, we'd pop into our phones on the sat nav where we were going, and then we would choose the option we wanted. You know how it gives you like 3 options or something. So obviously on Google Maps this is just a basic idea of each place we're visiting, and how long it would take to get to each place, but the actual reality of it was that we did choose slightly different routes each time. So yeah, stopped in Cheyenne, then we went to Aspen and we had a night there, and then from Aspen, then it was too far to get from Aspen to Shoshone Point in one day. But yeah, luckily, actually en route was somewhere that I'd found a really cool Airbnb. So before I decided where we were going, I'd found the Airbnb in that area, which decided where we were going to go next. So then the next place that we went to was Moab. So let's just pop that in, which was already en route, but I just need to move it slightly up. So just put there, Aspen, Moab, Shoshone, like that. So you can see it hasn't changed the route at all, but it's just highlighted Moab there. So now when I look at this map, I can literally see a whole route, and I've got all of the towns that I want to go to. I'll just pop in Las Vegas on the end there, so we can see the full circle. All joined back up together. There we go. So you can see this whole shape now that I have of the trip that I want to do, and each of the places that I'm stopping in are highlighted in black, so you can actually then zoom in to each one and look at the area. So the first places that I booked was because we were staying in 2 national parks. I mean, we were obviously staying in the Grand Canyon as well, but where we actually stayed was just outside the national park. But the 2 national parks we stayed in, so Zion and Yellowstone National Park, these 2 places have lodges within the national parks that you can book, but you have to book them quite far in advance. They get very booked up. They're kind of very traditional lodges, and they're always within the best spot for exploring the national park, so they're right in the middle. So both of those national parks, you can't find sort of other hotels, Airbnb, things like that within inside the national park, so you have to book these lodges, or you can just book something just outside the national park and drive in to go and have a look inside the national park. But we wanted to obviously be as close to the action as possible, just because it's great to be in a good location, but also we didn't have much time, so finding something outside, then driving in and driving back out again was just not going to be ideal. We were quite lucky that in Zion Park and Yellowstone Park we were able to book in to their own lodges within inside the parks, which was good. I will leave all of the places that we stayed in and any information I can think about in the description box below, so you can easily find things that I'm talking about. But yeah, so Yellowstone and Zion was cool because we literally just drive right there, and in Zion you have a code to get through a gate because you can't just drive to the hotel because it's within the park. You can't, not everyone can bring a car in, but if you're staying within the hotel you can bring your car into the park. So we had to go through a gate and then get to the hotel, and that was just a really great experience because as soon as we arrived at the hotel, even though it was, it must have been 3:30 in the afternoon, as soon as we arrived there though, we were right there. We dumped our stuff off and we went on a hike literally straight away because we didn't even need to think about where we've got to get back in the car and go and park somewhere else. We just didn't need to think about that. The national park lodges are fairly expensive for what they are, but you're paying for obviously the location of them, and they're nice enough, but they're just not, you know, we came from some beautiful hotels in Vegas to little wooden lodge hotel rooms in national parks, so it's quite different. The Yellowstone one was a shared bathroom as well, which honestly doesn't bother me at all, and actually I thought Ollie was going to have a right hissy fit over that, but no, we were fine. It's one night, you just go and use a shower, shared bathroom, it's fine, like it's all part of the experience. You could definitely pay more in these lodges for better rooms, but to be honest, in the Zion Park one we had the last bedroom available, so it wasn't even like I had a choice of rooms, and I think that was the same with Yellowstone as well. I'm pretty sure there wasn't a room available, and I kept checking and one came up and it was a shared bathroom, and that's why we ended up with that. But if those things are important to you, like I said, for me, obviously I would like my own private bathroom, but that's not massively important to me. But if that is important to you, then definitely make sure that you do book that on your trip, because you just don't want to add any stress or anxiety to the trip. It's just not worth it, especially if you're doing something so busy and there's a lot going on and you might find yourself getting a bit stressed over it. Just those little luxuries, if you can afford it, and it would mean a lot to you, I would just say just do it, you know, you only live once. So then for the rest of the places, because these are all outside national parks, I could either go for hotels or Airbnbs. Well, I absolutely love Airbnb, so I will always go on there first and see what I can find, because you just find the most interesting places to stay. You sometimes have the opportunity to meet people that live locally, you know, at their house that they're kind of renting out. So I just feel like Airbnb not only is a place to stay, but it's a great experience as well. And with that, I do look at reviews very, very closely. So with Airbnb, I generally wouldn't book anything if it was below like a 4.8, which sounds really bad because it's out of 5. So 4.8 out of 5 is really good. But I just feel like on Airbnb, people with the reviews are very good and they're very honest. And actually, if something's really good, you'll still get 5 stars for it. I feel like when people mark down properties on Airbnb, they really mean it. Do you know what I mean? So if it gets a little bit lower, it's because there are some things that have cropped up. I don't feel like people are that brutal on it. So yeah, for me, if it goes below like 4.8, maybe like 4.7, then I really do read through all the reviews. And if it's just silly things like people moaning about location, which I think is always like the dumbest thing ever, because you've literally booked it, you know, it shows you on the map before you book it, it shows you where it is. So if you're going to complain about location, I don't even know why that's a thing on Airbnb, to moan about location, because like you're choosing it. And if something's a little bit difficult to get to because it's so rural, well, you're choosing to stay somewhere because it's rural. You can't expect to have this like perfect driveway into it. You know, it's just be realistic. So yeah, things like location, I always ignore that. But yeah, I love to search Airbnb. So basically, every so often I'd be like, right, this evening I am deciding the Airbnb for Salt Lake City. So then I would just go on Airbnb and obviously type in Salt Lake City and then just scroll through looking at everything, and also put in quite a lot of pointers. So I'd put in, you know, reviews above 4, or like highest reviewed or super hosts, or maybe somewhere with a view or something like that. So I would always put in a lot of filters so that it would filter it down a little bit for me. But also Salt Lake City, I knew that we wanted somewhere that was a little bit more house-like, because we'd obviously stayed in Las Vegas for like a long time and then Zion Park, so that meant we've got 10 days worth of washing. So one thing I looked at in Salt Lake City was to make sure that we had washing facilities so we could do all of our washing. So just think about things like that, because you can definitely get more out of your Airbnb than just a night's stay, if you're savvy with it. So yeah, we were like, right, we would have had all that time in Vegas, we would need to wash clothes, so let's make sure we have a little house. We ended up with a little bungalow and it was gorgeous, had a kitchen, we ate dinner there, we did our washing there. It just felt like home, watched Netflix, and it just brought a little bit of home even though we're so far away. Do you know what I mean? So I love an Airbnb for that feeling. And obviously Yellowstone and Zion were both hotels, so you don't quite get that feeling. So it was really cool to have that homely feeling with an Airbnb, which I do feel like you can get. And you can definitely save money on Airbnbs if you rent a room within someone's house. I always choose entire place on Airbnb because I don't like the idea of staying within someone's house in a separate room on Airbnb. I prefer just to have my own place. But yeah, you could definitely save money. It's a lot cheaper if you just rent a room in someone's house. In Du Bois, I tried to find an Airbnb as well. But that was harder. It's quite a small little town. But then I came across on Expedia. So as soon as Airbnb's not getting me anywhere, then I'm back on Expedia looking for hotels in the area. I feel like in Du Bois there was like 1 or 2 places to stay. So I was like, okay, well that's easy. There's not many places to stay. So yeah, I just booked the cabin. I've forgotten the name of it now. 3 Peaks cabin, something like that. And oh my God, I love this place so much. It was such a traditional hotel within this little cowboy town. And then it had these little wooden chalets outside as well. And I did book one of them. Again, check the options, because I found that a room within the hotel was only about £10 cheaper than booking one of the little cabins outside. And obviously for us, the experience of a little wooden cabin outside is really cool. So I wanted to pay a little bit extra for that. So yeah, always look at different room options on Expedia is what I'm getting at. So booked that one, that was easy. And also I like Expedia as well because it tells you exactly what you're going to pay on there. So with Las Vegas, you have the hotel room cost and then you also have resort fees. But when you book for Expedia, it gives you the whole price. So you don't get any surprises when you get to Vegas. You don't suddenly be like, when they say, all right, that's $250 you've got to pay. You're like, why have I got to pay that? Expedia tells you that now you'll pay £1,000. And then when you leave the property, you'll pay £200. Do you know what I mean? So you know exactly what's coming, which I love Expedia for that. And I always feel like if you book through Expedia as well, you just have that 24-hour person that you can chat to. So if there's anything that was not right, you have got someone to talk to there online. But a lot of people will tell you that booking direct is better. I feel like booking direct is better when you're going to book the same hotel regularly. So in Vegas, if we were going to constantly visit Venetian every single year, year after year, it would be better to book direct with them, because I feel like they would give you upgrades, they would give you food credit, they would treat you really well. But if you're just going one place once, Expedia is great because you're going to get the student discount if you can get that. You're going to get members discount and you're going to get your points as well for booking through them. So yeah, bear that in mind. In Cheyenne, did the same thing. I don't think I looked at hotels there because I just knew I wanted Airbnb. Like I said, if I can choose an Airbnb over a hotel, I always will. And I just found a beautiful one there, which made me want to actually book the Cheyenne area. You definitely need to know what you like as well. You know, do you want to be rural? Do you want to be right in the town? Like, do you want an apartment within the town or the city? Or do you want to be on someone's ranch in a nice little cozy cabin? It's what you like as well. And I love the country and ruralness over anything. So the Cheyenne one was basically somebody's beautiful, I mean, it's an amazing property actually. I think it was kind of like a ranch, lovely big house, and then it had more buildings down the bottom of their fields, and then they had this big garage, and on top of their garage they'd built an Airbnb. So it was a really cool like 1 level Airbnb, very nicely decorated, really good reviews, and it was like 5 minutes drive from the centre of town. So I'd prefer something like that, you know, because we've already been to towns. We've been in Vegas for like days, so we don't need to be in the middle of towns all the time, and we can just drive into them. Also in America, parking and everything is so easy in all of these towns. You just drive up, because the roads are so wide, they've just made parking on the edge of all of them, so you can pull in and see a shop you want to go to and just park outside the front of it. No dramas, no parking tickets, no, oh, where do I get this ticket from, where do I go for this, how long am I allowed to sit here for, it's only half an hour. None of that. There's shops and you just pull up outside, park and walk in. I mean, how much better is that for the community? I mean, in the UK, I don't know what it's like. I think it's like this everywhere in the UK, but on the Isle of Wight, where I live, it's literally a nightmare. So most of the parking within town is 2 hours, but they're always quite busy and blocked up. But also 2 hours, if I want to go for an afternoon shopping, 2 hours is just not long enough. And all you're doing is thinking, oh, I've got to get back to the parking. So you might be in a shop buying all these things, but then you end up putting everything back because you've got to go move the car. So, you know, it's losing shops out on business and stuff. But that's a complete side note. It's not like that in America. Really cool. I mean, it might be like that in Vegas. You know, imagine we didn't have the car in Vegas, so we didn't know about that. But yeah, obviously cities it'd be different. But just towns, yeah, it's so good. So yeah, then basically Cheyenne to Aspen. Aspen again was somewhere that was really important to me to go to, but more for the scenery, I think I realised in the end. So I was going to book a very fancy hotel and it was just so expensive, and I was umming and ahhing over for months. I actually only booked the Aspen hotel a week before we left because I just did not know what to do. Do I spend out and stay in a luxury hotel, or do we just go for the cheapest one that I could find on Expedia? Because the Airbnbs as well in Aspen are very expensive, and also they're all, because it's a ski resort, even though we didn't go there at ski season, the Airbnbs are all big apartments for, you know, lots of people to stay together, so they're not really suitable for a couple travelling on a road trip. So hotel it was. But yeah, I didn't book the expensive one in the end because I think for me, Aspen, it was about the whole fancy experience, I think, but actually it's more about just that scenery. It's supposed to be just one of the most beautiful places for the mountains, and it was. Yeah, I'm so glad we didn't pay out because I ended up booking us a hostel, which was actually, because it's in Aspen, so it was a very nice hostel. It had like you had a bedroom and then shared bathroom. And it was right in the centre of town. It was so good, like it was perfect. And I booked that on Expedia as well. I literally, for that one, just went on Expedia and just chose the cheapest one. Oh, on Expedia I do check the reviews as well. I normally wouldn't go below an 8 out of 10 on Expedia for the reviews. I do feel like reviews are really important, just for you to get the experience that you're expecting, because generally when you read reviews you can see the same issues cropping up again and again, so you know that if you go for that hotel you're probably going to have the same issue. So yeah, I was quite careful with that, looking at reviews and things. So yeah, we stayed the night in the hostel and I absolutely loved it. I think I loved it because it was cheap and it was good, which is so nice, isn't it? I mean, if you book somewhere really expensive and it's good, that doesn't feel as good, because yeah, you've paid hundreds of pounds for something, it better be bloody good. But if you've paid a much smaller amount of money for something and it's good, then you are buzzing because you think, well, great, you know, I just feel like you enjoy the experience so much more because you don't feel like you've been ripped off. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so yeah, hostel was really good. When we arrived, they gave us a glass of wine. There was like fresh cookies there on the side as well that you could have. The room was comfortable enough. I mean, it wasn't like the best room ever, but we definitely slept. I think we were just exhausted. The walls are really thin though, so if you can't sleep and you need thick walls, that was not, yeah, the walls were really thin, but they did give you earplugs. When I arrived and there was a big box of earplugs there, I thought, that's not a good start, but actually they were fine, they worked. Oh my god, I didn't realise how long this video was going to be. Oh, I've got to edit this in a minute. Oh, another thing I just noticed here, because it says on the maps, different time zones. Just remember that if you are doing something in America, you are going to be driving through different time zones. So sometimes you lose an hour and sometimes you gain an hour, and it's a little bit weird, but you do kind of get used to it. So yeah, then again, so that was our place in Aspen, and then Moab again was one of the things that I'd searched the general area between driving from Aspen to the Grand Canyon. That general area between was where I found the most coolest, if that's even a word, Airbnb, and that was in Moab, and that's why we went to Moab, because the Airbnb was there. So it wasn't particularly that we chose Moab, it was a cool Airbnb. So these in-betweeny places that we've stopped at have kind of been chosen because of the places to stay. So yeah, we had a tent there in the middle of nowhere, and that was obviously, we've come over the border there into Utah, and we stayed in a tent. Let me just zoom in so you can see, like, oh, it's so rural. I don't know if you can even tell how rural that is. Yeah, we were basically, I'm just gonna move the map over. See this kind of like darker colour here. Our tent was in the middle of this somewhere, and it was just, I mean, we were so out of it, so out in the sticks, that it was really, really cool. Such an experience. And that Airbnb is actually where we got to meet the owners of it, and they actually live on that land there, in this rural land. If you haven't watched my vlogs, then I'll leave them all linked down below. You should definitely check them out. But yeah, we met the owners, we met them where they live. They let us go and have a look at how they lived and where they lived, and you just don't get experiences like that when you stay in hotels. I just really feel strongly that Airbnb, or what's the other one called? Vrbo. You can obviously choose Vrbo. I've had a few issues with them, so I don't use them. But Airbnb, yeah, you just get such a great experience. So yeah, we stayed there, really cool. And then to the Grand Canyon, and again, I knew that we needed to be, because we wanted to do a little hike up to where we got married, and it was going to be later in the evening by the time we got there, because of the drive. I just felt like we needed to find an Airbnb quite close, so within half an hour of that area. So again, when I went on Airbnb, I just type in the area, so I just put Grand Canyon, but then I zoom the map in. I always look on the map rather than the list of properties. I zoom the map to the area that I want, so it's got the radius, so that it's only half an hour to get to from where we wanted to be, if you see what I mean. And then I just click on the properties and have a look at them, and again, check out the reviews, check out the photos. Price obviously comes into it, and the experience and what it's going to be like. So in Arizona, where the Grand Canyon is, it has absolutely amazing stargazing opportunities. So yeah, the property that we found in Arizona had to be one built around stargazing, so we chose like a mini house, mini glass house thing. There's lots of them to choose from actually, so if you are looking at going stargazing in Arizona, oh, so much choice. And honestly, absolutely incredible. The sky in Arizona, it doesn't even look real. It looks like the photos that you see online, but you're seeing it with your own eyes, and you just cannot beat that. We had such bad neck ache from just like staring at them. It was just so cool. So yeah, that was really important that we had a property like that. And obviously just making sure that on our flight home day, we were lucky because our flight home wasn't until 9:30 at night, so we actually had that whole day to make sure that we got back to our flight in time, but we didn't need to leave the Airbnb at the crack of dawn or anything, so that worked out really well for us. But obviously, if you're going to be, say your flight time was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something, I would recommend that you stay somewhere near the airport the night before, because it would be stressful to try and get from somewhere to somewhere, just in case, I don't know. But because we had, you know, we were checking out of the Airbnb at 10 o'clock and the flight wasn't until 9:30, it didn't matter that we were 5 hours away. So one thing that was really important we had to do on our trip, we had to go to Kingman, which is got the courthouse in it where we picked up our wedding licence, and we had to go back and see the lady who gave us our wedding licence when we got married. We had to then take our actual wedding certificate in there and get this certified copy stamped and everything, which we never did after we got married, so we had to go back and get that. So that had to be on our way back to the airport, but luckily Kingman was literally on our way back to the airport, so but obviously I'd planned that and made sure it was like that. So yeah, and then we ended up back at the airport about 6 o'clock. Worked out perfectly. We handed the car back. So that was the whole trip and how I've planned it. Expedia, Airbnb, put it into Google Maps first. Work out what driving times you want to do each day. Figure out the places in between. Look for scenic routes. Go on Airbnb and Expedia to find the right properties for you. And I would say just try and make sure you are doing some kind of circle, so you're not wasting any time going back on yourself. Like, none of our roads took us back on ourselves, which was really nice. And Google Maps is obviously very, very helpful. And ChatGPT is really helpful as well. So car-wise, we used the same guy that we used last year, actually, because we hired a car last year as well. And the company is called Turo. And Turo, I would describe it as Airbnb for cars. And it is great. so good. So basically you go on there, and like you would look for a property, you'd look for a car and you'd read the reviews and you'd find the car that you like, and you'd make sure that you can take it through different states and all of those sorts of things. It'll tell you clearly on there. But yeah, and you just hire a car through a private person. All of your insurance is included through the app, and it's all done on an app, so you can message the person that's got your car. You can arrange to meet them in certain places. You can ask them to drop the car off to you. You can ask them to pick you up. You know, it's just so personal that it makes it so much easier for you. And also, if you have a problem with a car or something, you literally have the person that owns the car on speed dial, basically. Whereas I feel like when you use car hire companies, you always have that little feeling of, are they scamming me? What's this extra insurance they want me to buy? Are they going to look over it and be like, oh, that scratch wasn't there, now you've got to pay $1,000? Do you know what I mean? It always feels a little bit scammy when you hire cars abroad, I think, especially in Europe. I feel like it's really dodgy in Europe. But yeah, Turo, so good. So good, because you're just dealing with regular people. You know, they want the process to be as quick and easy as you want it to be. And they're also just very helpful. They can also give you local knowledge. They can also help you with, like Ollie, when we picked up the car, he was a little bit nervous to drive out the hotel onto the Las Vegas roads because it was very nerve-wracking. Like, you just driving out the hotel and you've got 5 lanes, you don't even know where you're going, and it's busy and everything. So the guy that gave us the car was able to, you know, oh, just go this way, go that way. You know, it's just like that. It's nice. And also the price you pay is what you pay. It tells you on the app what you're paying. It tells you your insurance that you're covered with. That's it. You pick the car up. You don't need to give a credit card over. You don't need to do anything. You just literally get the car, look it over, and then drive off. So yeah, really would recommend Turo. I'll leave them linked down below as well, just in case you're interested. I think they're also in this country. I don't know how many countries they're in yet, but they're definitely in this country and in America as well. And just, yeah, very, very easy to use and nice, because then we used him last year, the same guy, and he has, quite a lot of them now have several cars, so it's like their business. They rent out lots of cars. So then we were able to choose a different car from him this time and rent that out, and it was, yeah, great, because we already knew him. We were like, hi, all right, you know, it's just nice, and it makes you at ease for your road trip ahead. So that's a tip. I'd use Turo for hiring your car. Oh, another tip in America would also be just to make sure that you always have a full tank of fuel. So I wouldn't let it go below half, because some of these roads, you know, they go on for miles and miles, and you might not come across a gas station. So definitely keep your fuel topped up. Don't let it go down below half, just to make sure you've always got enough to get somewhere. And the gas stations in America especially, oh my God, they are amazing. That is the one thing. If I could miss anything from America, it is the space and the gas stations. They're so good. You'd pull up to a gas station in the middle of nowhere. Like, literally, I mean, you're on a road that looks like it goes on for 1,000 miles to nowhere. And then this gas station pops up and you're like, oh, pull in here. And there's people in it. There's locals in it. You know, you'd think there'd be no one for miles. And they have kitchens in them. So you even have, in one of them, it had like 3 chefs in it making fresh pizzas, burgers, tacos, just lovely fresh hot food. So you're in the middle of nowhere, you go in and you get a fresh pizza, and then all of the snacks you could think of, all of the fizzy drinks that you want, they're all on the machines where you just push the button and you can add different syrups in them, all the different coffees that you want. You can make yourself a pumpkin spice latte if you wanted to. Literally, they have a coffee machine there, and then they have all of the syrup pumps for you to put into your coffee, and different toppings and stuff, cream. I mean, what? It's so good. We miss out on all of this stuff in the UK. It's just, you go to somewhere in the UK and then, oh, we've run out of that. Oh, sorry, no, we don't have that here. It's so basic, whereas America has just so much to offer you. Even if you are in the middle of absolute nowhere, they still somehow manage to be very well stocked. Yeah, so that was really cool. Oh God, what else can I say? Oh yeah, that was it. So also, we didn't do any of this on this trip, but I've done it on previous trips. I've done quite a lot of different holidays like this where I hire a car and explore. And another thing that I love to do is Airbnb experiences. So when you go on Airbnb, you've got obviously the properties you can look up, you can also click on the experiences tab, and on here you can put in an area that you're going to. Like for example, next week I'm going to Crete, so I'll put Crete in there, and then I'll look around Crete. You can go around the map, look where you're staying, and look at places you wouldn't mind travelling to, and you can find experiences which are basically trips or days out, things like that, that local people have arranged. And I've done quite a few of these and they're all amazing. I did some in Croatia with my mum, and we basically booked this one experience with this lady. It was called a Croatian cooking experience, and yeah, we went to her apartment and she cooked for us, we cooked, and then we all sat down for dinner. There was another girl that had joined the experience as well, and then we all had dinner together. We chatted about her local life in Croatia, we ate her local food, and literally sat within her apartment. And I know this sounds really scary, but it's not, because all of these people are verified and it's very safe, and it's all done through the Airbnb app, so it feels safe, you know, and there's reviews and stuff. Again, reviews are very important. Yeah, you can do all of these sorts of things in America as well. So if you're visiting a certain town and you want to do something a little bit different, you don't want to just go to the local museum, you know, or just do the usual stuff that the tourist board has kind of told you to do. Definitely have a look on experiences, zoom into your local area on the map, and see if there's anybody offering any sort of experience there, because you can just do some absolutely amazing things with local people. It's their own little businesses they've set up, so they're really, really passionate about what they're doing. And yeah, you can find some fun things to do. In Croatia, me and Mum also did an olive and wine farm tour, I think it was. And the guy actually picked us up from where we were staying and took us to his farm where he lives on with his mum. And we had a whole tour of his farm and his job, and we picked olives, and then we went up into this gorgeous little farmhouse looking over this amazing view, and then we sat in there eating wine that he's made on his land, olives that he's grown, olive oil on bread and meats and everything. He made us this whole lovely meat and bread board. I just have such happy memories of that, and I can't remember what we paid for that. It was, you know, something like, I feel like it was like £30, £40 each or something like that. And we had a whole day's tour, and we had just such an amazing day chatting with this guy who lives there and lives the land and the culture and everything. It's just such a great experience. So if you're up for doing things a little bit different, I definitely recommend Airbnb experiences as well. But anyway guys, I am literally getting exhausted now, because I've been speaking non-stop for an hour and a quarter, so I think I'm going to have to stop. I really hope this video has been helpful. I'll leave those websites and things that I've talked about linked down below, so you can have a look into them yourselves. If I have missed anything or I've left gaps in the information, just leave me a comment down below and I will answer your questions down there, because my brain is gone. It's I can't give you any more information. I'll just be umming and ahhing the whole time. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting about my trip to America and how I would plan a road trip. I hope I have provided some helpful information, and especially to you guys who specifically asked for this video, I hope that I've kind of answered some questions. But yeah, please just give me the direct questions in the comments below and I'll answer them down there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing very well, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!